Let's get the Conservatives' view on all of the day's news. Nigel Huddleston, the co-chairman of the party, joins us now. Nigel, as we were just discussing, former sports minister, so a view on who should be the next president?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Seb Coe, who isn't, and he's got incredibly positive reputation around the world, particularly from his role in world athletics. So he can do the job, there's no doubt about it, but he does have tough competition, in particular from Spaniards, and also there's a desire as well, potentially, to have the first African president. So, you know, it's not a done deal, but there is no doubt he would be more than capable of doing that job.
I guess we'll find out later today. In terms of these pictures we've seen this morning, the Prime Minister on board a nuclear submarine, presumably as a party you just overwhelmingly support boosts in defence spending and recommitment to the nuclear deterrent?
Yes, and Kemi said when she became leader, you know, we are His Majesty's official opposition, but that doesn't mean we oppose every single thing that the Labour Party do, and in this area, they're doing some quite good things. Now, they are following through with policies that we led on and pushed and cajoled them to do. I'm glad they are now doing them in terms of increasing defence spending, for example. But we'll see what this meeting comes up with, and we'll be analysing the outcome and the details. But, you know, broadly, we support this because, obviously, defence spending in the context of Ukraine is important, and there's broadly cross-party unity on this in the Commons, and I hope that continues.
Is there cross-party unity on cuts to welfare spending that we saw yesterday, possibly further cuts to be announced next week?
Well, the challenge is, the Labour Party, when we were doing further cuts in welfare spending in government, they opposed us at every single stage. And a lot of the welfare spending, it's not just cuts, it's genuinely an attempt to get people back into work, which is what a lot of people who are taking these benefits actually want to do. So we were going in that direction. They opposed us again and again and again. They're now in government and they are partially implementing some of the things that we proposed, but it doesn't, quite frankly, go far enough. Mel Stride had proposals, and we put in our manifesto, about £12 billion of cuts in welfare spending, and I think they have announced about £6 billion yesterday. So we welcome it as far as it's gone, but it hasn't gone far enough. It's
interesting you're taking that line, because yesterday Mel Stride didn't seem to take that line. He suggested the policy was rushed and almost as if the Conservatives opposed it. But whether or not in opposition you think they took a different position, it sounds like you do support these measures themselves and the explanation behind them, which is it's to try and get people back into work.
We welcome the measures that we had proposed that they have largely re-announced that we were doing and that we were pushing forwards with. Mel is absolutely right, don't get me wrong here, that actually this and what they're doing does seem rushed. Some of the additional measures, some of the additional proposals yesterday seem to be a knee-jerk reaction to the fact that Rachel Reeves is scrambling around for money. So in terms of the broad policy intent to get that welfare bill down and the broad direction of travel, that's the right thing. That was our policy. The devil is always in the detail. The bits of detail that are basically picking up from us, we welcome, but we need to make sure that they are following through with a credible policy rather than one that's completely rushed. But I'm afraid we're going to see this in all sorts of policy areas in the run-up to the budget, the emergency budget next week. God knows what they're going to do, because they are scrambling around for money, and it will be very interesting to see what they do.
In terms of policies being rushed or not, I mean, obviously they've been in power since July. It's quite a few months' worth to form a policy and announce it.
And 14 years in opposition to think about it as well.
Well, OK, I'm going to... So how long does it take you as a party to form a policy? You haven't had any yet.
Oh, no, that's not right. Look, we've already announced policies, for example, on immigration. We've already announced that we would reverse the farming tax. We've already announced that we would reverse the tax on schools, business property relief, a whole bunch of other areas as well. We would reverse Angela Rayner's disastrous so-called employment bill. So there's several policies that we've already announced.
Wow, brilliant.
And also, yes, but Kemi has been very clear. It's our responsibility, recognising that we lost the last election and that people did not, they wanted us out. We now need to use that time in opposition wisely to come up with policies that actually have a decent plan behind them that are credible and stack up. And that does take time. Margaret Thatcher did that in 1975. David Cameron did it when he was in opposition. The lesson learned from this government is that they spent all of that time in opposition, got into power and were clueless about what they wanted to do, and are now implementing things that weren't in the manifesto, you know, spending money now without the money coming in. They've got no idea what they're doing, which is why we're having all of these emergency budgets. We will not make that mistake, I can assure you of that.
Local elections coming up.
Yep.
Is this something that you fear will reveal what we've seen in the polls so far, i.e. that other parties are doing better than the Conservatives, like Reform? Or are you confident or hopeful that, in fact, polls don't tell it all and you'll win more seats than people expect?
Well, there's a couple of things. The Conservative Party in local government has a really good reputation for delivering value for money. You know, it's well known that we deliver better services at lower cost, and that is a proud track record we've got right across the country. And when it comes to focusing on local issues, people like our candidates. You know, they're embedded in the local community. That's important. But you're right, this is us having an election after losing the general election last year and based on a high watermark of the 2021 local elections where we got an incredible 65% of all seats. That's about 30% higher than we normally get in local elections. This is following on from the vaccines rollout. We won the Hartlepool by-election on the same day. So 2021 was a really high watermark, and that's what we're facing against now. We are fighting for every single vote in every single seat, but it will be difficult. But if you look at the recent by-election results since the general election, we've won 59 of those. Reform, for example, have won 12. So in local election results, in the actual by-elections, we're doing quite well because we're embedded in the local community, we focus on issues, and we deliver good value for money. And I think broad swathes of the public do see that.
Could the results threaten Kemi's leadership?
No, because, you know, she's out there already. She's been travelling around the country with the mayoral candidates, with the council leaders, and our launch today. So she's out there fighting for every single vote. But we do recognise it's against a high watermark. So, you know, it is going to be challenging results. But we're fighting really hard, and I've been up and down the country. We're highly motivated, particularly given the state of this government at the moment. Our activists are highly motivated. Thousands of them are out and about campaigning, knocking on doors, talking to people about local issues every single day. So our campaign machine is actually pretty good, and we're operating very well, and I appreciate all the work that's going on there. And we are talking about the issues that people genuinely care about. So, you know, Kemi is leading that, but it's going to be difficult results. Now, I'm sure our opposition, whatever happens, will spin it in a certain way. But actually, you know, we want to get as many elected as possible, and we'll do just that.
Nigel Huddleston, great to
Thank
speak
you.
with you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.